Imagine a life straight out of a fairy tale. A beautiful ballerina, a whirlwind romance, and a glamorous lifestyle. Ashley Benefield seemed to have it all: grace, beauty, and charm. But what if that fairy tale turned into a chilling nightmare? What if behind the curtain of elegance and romance lurked secrets so dark they could shock everyone? Welcome to True Crime Desk. I'm Richard. Welcome back, everyone, to True Crime Desk. I'm Richard.
And I'm Maria.
And today we're going to be going over the case of Ashley Benefield. She just was convicted of manslaughter, but she hasn't been sentenced yet. So we thought we'd talk about it and go over what we think. So you've been watching this case, of course, right?
I definitely have been watching this case, and it's been very interesting and up and down. So I think we have a lot to talk about.
That's for sure. So go ahead. You can start.
Oh, okay. Well, the trial was one where at one moment I felt a certain way, and the next moment I felt a different way. I wasn't fond of the prosecutor. I felt like she's very harsh, and the if the defendant was actually abused, then I feel like the prosecutor was way too harsh. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I didn't like her at all. I thought she was rude. She was unnecessarily nasty. I don't know if they think because she's a woman that she can treat another woman that way. I don't get it. A man would, they'd eat him alive. He even tried that. It's just
Correct.
disrespectful. I thought it was very unprofessional. I didn't like it at all.
I agree. I agree. Agree. Um, a couple of things. I didn't like the fact that the prosecutor made her stand up during her being on the stand. I thought that was uncalled for, and I all in all, I didn't like the prosecutor at all. I guess I could say. Yeah.
I was surprised that they didn't object to that because it was totally unnecessary. If she really was a victim of being abused, you're just re-traumatizing her again.
Yeah.
Um, and I just think that it shouldn't have been done. And clearly, the defense or the prosecutor didn't believe her at all. So she didn't feel like she's putting her through more stress
Correct.
or
Correct.
whatever because she didn't believe her. She just thinks she's a flat out liar. You can tell, and she
Yes.
acted like you should never. Well, this is my opinion. You should never come off like you dislike the person. It's your job. You're supposed to try to get them convicted, and if you believe they did it, I
Hmm.
think that would you should if you're going to try to put them away. But she acted like she didn't like her at all. It was like it was personal, and it's
Right. Like it was personal. I agree with you. I agree
yeah.
with you. You can have passion because we've talked about before, lawyers that have passion because they believe that their defendant is innocent, but you can't act like you have a vendetta, like, you don't like the person. And it just showed in every aspect of her speaking in this trial. So definitely didn't like her.
What do you think
Um,
about the defense? How do you think they performed?
um, I think the defense did well. I wasn't actually fond of, honestly, I wasn't fond of the prosecutor, and I wasn't really fond of the defense as well, the actual lawyer. He seemed a little, I don't know, he seemed a little cocky, and it seemed like he did some things in the courtroom that he knew was not appropriate, but he did it anyway. And I don't know if you remember at one point he got scolded by the judge.
Yep.
The judge got upset and sent the jurors out, and laid into him pretty hard. I was watching this as I was driving, so I was listening to it. But yeah, he was pushing the limits, I think,
Yeah. And there's only six jurors, by the way, which is unusual.
which that
Which
is
is
also interesting to me. I think if I was in trouble on a trial, I would not want six jurors. I would want 12. I think six is just too little, for something so important as a death penalty or are, something that you can be put in prison for death, death penalty, or being found at like manslaughter or something. I think that 6 is too little, in my opinion.
Well, they wouldn't have six on a death penalty. It's a non capital offense. They'll have six.
Oh, okay.
So if
Okay.
it's a capital offense, they'll have 12. If it's
Gotcha.
non-capital or civil, they can have six. So
Mhm.
I think they've been doing that since what, 2003 or I
Yeah,
don't know
I
exactly.
don't like it. I don't like it. I think 12 is what it should be because you
Yeah,
want to make sure that you have enough people watching it and getting a good amount of people talking
I
about
wouldn't like
the
it.
evidence. And so they come up with a good decision. 6, I think it's too low, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, it was odd. I heard that, and I thought that's really weird. I didn't know they did that until this case, of course.
I
Yeah,
do.
so
Oh, go ahead.
that's all right. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I do think that, I did go back and forth, like I said earlier in the trial, because after hearing the accusations that her husband was abusive and they mentioned him hitting a dog and knocking him out, and throwing a cat down the stairs and those types of things, that right there already got me to where I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I don't like this guy. And it put me on the wrong mindset because that's so horrible. So I had to kind of, reel myself in and say, okay, we got to listen to all the evidence, even though that right there makes me want to just lose it and listen to the whole trial and then, make a decision.
Well, you see, that's why they do that, though. I mean, even if it wasn't true, it affected you. And if
It
it's true,
did.
and if it's true, it affected you. But that jurors would be the same way.
Correct.
You know what I
Correct.
mean? So, I understand that. I didn't hear the cat part. I mean, that's
Yes.
the dog is bad as it
Well, I
is, but
watched it driving and then I came home and watched it again, part of it, because I wanted to watch her on the stand where I could see her because driving, I'm just listening to it. And so that's why yeah, heard the cat thing because I didn't think I heard it the first time as well.
yeah, because I'm a cat guy. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like I condone the dog being abused and it's okay,
Oh,
unacceptable. But
mhm.
I'm a cat guy, and as you well aware, I lost my baby of 17 years in January. So
Correct. Correct.
I am
Sweetest baby ever.
definitely heartbroken for sure.
Yeah.
Still have one. We still have one around. His name is Senna, like the race car driver, and he's a goofball. I think he's 4 or 5 now. But anyway, yeah. So what did you? So did you think she was truthful, or did you think she was just acting?
Well, it's funny because there was some points I mean, I did feel like she was abused. I did feel like he was an abusive person because of the gun. He threw a gun at her. He shot the gun up and hit the ceiling, put a hole in the
Yeah,
ceiling. He punched the wall, and those things that came out that he actually admitted to. So it's
right.
not like she just said it and they're just saying, oh, because then you could sit there and wonder, okay, did she make all this stuff up? But he actually admitted to these things. On top of that, I was actually shocked that they were able to bring in his past stuff with his ex-wife where he was abusive with her. Actually on her honeymoon, kicked her in the leg
Yeah,
and all the stuff. So I do believe there was abuse there, that she was and I do believe she was afraid of him. I do believe that. But I kind of have a tough time with the trial in a whole because I do believe that she was abused. I feel like that was proven. But when she got on the stand, I don't think she did herself any justice. I don't think that she was believable. Um,
it's
so
weird
what do you
because
think?
I was weird because I was watching a lot of coverage, and when I first started watching it, I thought, no, she's full crap. I don't believe her.
Mhm.
But then I started watching, getting other opinions and experts and listening to them and trying to be fair.
Correct.
And I started changing a little bit, swaying a little bit because they were pointing out certain things and they're supposed to be experts and things I didn't notice. And so I started looking at it, and I do believe that he wasn't a good guy in a lot of ways. I mean,
Mhm.
he didn't deserve to die. Of course not. He wasn't. It was
Correct.
nothing he did was a death penalty thing. Uh, as far as being mean, unless he attacked her that day, that is, which we'll get there. But yeah, I believe that she definitely was afraid of him, abused at some point.
Mhm.
So what I think that I don't know. I think she was acting or not. I don't think it did her any good. Most of the time when you get on the stand, it doesn't seem to help you out.
It doesn't
So
seem like it.
no, it doesn't seem like it does. So I'm kind of, I don't really, I, to be honest with you, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I maybe probably part of it and other parts I didn't. You
Mhm.
know, when she stood up, she definitely looked like she was traumatized the way she was shaking and stuff. And that didn't look like an act to me. It's hard to do with some of the facial stuff she was doing and, which is not easy to fake.
Be honest with you,
Mhm.
it's gonna sound funny, but I'm really kind of interested to see if the behavior panel, does that video on her, because I would like to know what they think. Because for me, I kind of felt a little bit opposite of you. I felt that she wasn't believable to me, and I didn't see any tears. I didn't, you know, I do agree with the prosecutor when she stated that, did you notice that, she's crying so hard that we have to, have the jurors leave for a little bit, give her a break and then come back. And then she's all totally fine afterwards. I kind of agree with that. But I do believe she was abused. I just don't believe the scenario. I don't believe it happened the way she said. Um, I really don't. I think she did want to be away from him because she was afraid of him. He was abusive. She didn't want to be married to him anymore. She didn't want him to be around her daughter. And I understand that if he was abusive like that, I'd probably feel the same way. But I don't think it happened in the way she said. I just don't. The evidence doesn't match. It didn't feel right to me that she was being honest about that part.
Yeah, she also accused him of poisoning her, which they pretty much proved that wasn't true,
And I didn't believe that
and
either.
and said that he was, he wasn't gonna be. I don't think she said he molested the daughter. I don't think she said that, but she definitely accused him of stalking her and all this other stuff. And I don't know that any of that was proven, but I know the gun thing. There was even his daughter admitted that there was a hole in the ceiling, and he even admitted it too. He apologized. So
I
we
would
know
believe,
some of that is true, but
right.
two things can be true at the same time. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm. I think the only thing that I feel personally, the only things that they proved in this trial was that he threw a gun at her, that he shot the gun in the ceiling, that he punched a hole in the wall, at the home, because that was corroborated by his daughter that it did happen. Um, and the information about the ex-wife that came out, because it was like on a phone call messages or something, so that was proven. But anything else is like stalking and following her and this and that wasn't proven. But one thing that was proven was she was moving to that location to get away from him, but also she inherited a house. And a gentleman said that her husband was looking for a home and he wanted to buy the house that was directly behind her house. So to me, that feels stalkish. That does. So once again, I think that she really was abused. She was afraid of him. She didn't want to be with him anymore. But I don't think the scenario that day in that room happened the way she said. I
Well,
don't. Yeah.
they also said that after they went to court and it was a joint custody, and she all of a sudden started becoming nice and almost like leading. They felt that she was leading them on, and they went back to counseling again. And he thought they were like pretty much back together. And then he found out that he couldn't find out where she couldn't find her, didn't know where she was. And so then he got a private investigator, and then he put a tracker on her car, which is not acceptable. That's weird.
Mhm.
And then she showed up. I guess she showed up one time, had a ring on her finger, like an engagement ring. So then he basically eventually filed for divorce. But then not long after that, she's inviting him over to help her move. She said she wanted to move somewhere else with him, and then invites him over to help her move. And we had that
That's
whole scenario.
right. And that's why I believe that the scenario that she said was not accurate. And I do believe that she shot him to get rid of him. That's my personal opinion. I think she shot him to get rid of him. He didn't attack her. He didn't do all the things she said. I don't believe that at all. But here's the thing. I do not believe the prosecutors proved that, though. They did not prove their case. In fact, the prosecutors, they were blown out of the water with I have it written here. Their motive. Their motive was blown out of the water by her name was Faith Brown. She was her former family law attorney. And when she was on the stand, pretty much it was proven that the prosecutor stated that the reason she killed him was because this document was going to come out within what 3 days or something like that,
Right.
and it was proven by this family law attorney that that wasn't the case at all. That that wasn't going to be coming out. In fact, that they didn't even know when that was even going to be happening. That the only thing that was going to happen was the injunction that she's going to get against him, to keep him away from her. That was the only thing that was going to happen that day. And so, what I found very interesting, I'm not sure if a lot of people notice this, and I wonder if the jurors notice this, but the prosecutor changed in the middle of this trial. They changed what they said the reason was that she killed him. First, they changed it to at the end. Oh, it's because of the injunction, but that's not what she stated at her opening. That's not what she stated through the whole trial until that lady got on the stand and made showed her that wasn't
Right.
true. And showed, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, she changed
yep.
it during closing, which is
She
not
did.
you can't do. So I think that might be a possible appeal, in my opinion, because that's you can't do that. He even mentioned it on his rebuttal or his when he went up
Yeah,
for.
he actually, now I
He
think
mentioned
his
it too.
rebuttal was good because he
Yeah.
pointed out all that stuff. Now I do have a question for you. They stated that she looked how do you co-parent with an abuser? What do you think about that?
I think it is what it is. She wanted to know how she can continue to do that and deal
That's what
with
I
it.
think
I
as
think it's
well.
just straight. I think it is what it is.
Yeah, yeah, because they were trying to make it seem like it was something else, but I think it was her trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to do this? Because honestly, if it was me, I would be afraid to have my daughter with a man that did that stuff alone. If I was there, I would feel a little safer because I'm there. I can, try and protect my child. But to say, oh, here, go with daddy when daddy has done those things, oh, I'd be afraid. I'd be afraid. I really
Well,
would.
he has another daughter that he raised, and there's no allegations to ever abuse her. Matter of fact, she's the opposite. She loved him, and obviously it
Right.
was her
I would still
father.
be
They're
afraid
very
though. And
close.
when you
So
see someone do things like that,
not the
it,
same thing now.
yeah,
Someone
it would.
abusing you is not abusing children.
No,
It's two
I
different
know,
things.
but if they have that quick of a temper or they get angry if they get angry and act like that versus just getting upset and, maybe arguing or something, that's a big difference. I just personally would be afraid. That's just
A
me.
person that's an abuser is an abuser. They don't just become an abuser all of a sudden.
Oh, that's another thing
There's
they're trying to talk
signs.
about. So I think, oh, that's another thing the prosecutor said that made me almost laugh. It's like, oh, well, he did that before. Like all these things, the throwing the gun, shooting the gun, trying to point in his
I
head and
know.
saying he's going to kill himself. Oh, he did that before. Like it
It's a
was
good
no big
point.
deal. And I was like, are you kidding me right now? That is a big deal. That is a big deal. The man,
Yeah, it sounds
no,
like something that an abuser would say. It's like, oh, they abuse you, then they say they're sorry and it never happened again.
correct. And
He
it
kept
happens
making all these
again.
excuses like, well, that was in the past. He did that before, did it before. It still was done. And if he can
Correct.
does it once, he can do it again.
Yes.
You know
And
what I
I
mean? But
think,
there was never any evidence that he has abused his daughter
oh,
and
no,
that he
no.
was
And I
abusive
don't
with his
think he did
kids at
at
all.
all.
I think it was an
Correct.
excuse. She just didn't want him to be around the kid,
Right. She wanted to
around their
just have,
child.
exactly.
So I use it as an excuse
Yeah.
as far as that goes. As far as the way he treated her, that's a whole different deal.
Yeah.
But that's how it goes. People have kids together, and all of a sudden they hate each other at some point, and I don't get that. I went through a divorce, and it wasn't best time of my life, but I've never ever disrespected my ex. It's the mother of my children. I just don't get that. I don't
Yeah.
understand that at all. It's not the way it works. Not for me anyway.
Right.
But it seems to happen all the time.
It does. Not everybody's the same. Not everybody is, not everybody can get along, I guess. But and the thing is, she mentioned she was walking on eggshells. She felt like she was walking on eggshells. I know how that feels. And, I believe that she was, but then part of me is just like not trusting the whole point of what she was saying. I'm not trusting everything she said. I just was not. And I do think she was abused. I do think those things happened, but I don't think that he attacked her. And I do think she planned it. I do think that's why she had him over there to help move. I think that it was all planned. I really do. But they didn't prove it. But that's what I
Yeah,
think.
that's what's weird about it is I agree with you. I agree with you on some points. I agree that it's more or less likely that it wasn't self defense. I don't really think that it was.
Yeah.
I do believe that he was abusive to her at times and in the past. Um, but I believe that part of the story is over. So it's too much. So it's like
Mhm.
there's truth in there a little bit.
'Cause she was kind of
but I
playing
don't
him, you
believe,
know?
but I don't believe that they proved it. So you
No.
can, as a juror, you can think, okay, well, I think she's guilty, or I don't believe this, I don't believe that. But if they don't prove their case, then you can't convict her. And in my
Correct.
opinion, I don't think they proved their case. I was surprised. I don't know about you. I was shocked when it came back as fast as it did. First off, everybody didn't expect it because it was really late. And the fact that she was guilty, I thought she was going to just walk for sure. I thought there's no way they proved this.
A lot of
No
people
way.
thought that because I heard a prosecutor, a different, a different lawyer mention that, they had to prove whether she had a depraved heart. So in order to be murder, they had to prove that she had a depraved heart when when this happened. And I don't think they proved it at all.
Yeah, so let's talk about the jurors and that fiasco with them coming back
Oh,
and asking questions, and that was a whole big mess.
uh, I think that you and I are on the same page with this one. It gave me a sick feeling in my stomach because you've got to give it everything. This is somebody's life. This isn't a joke. And they were deliberating for 6 hours. Yes, it was 10 o'clock at night, but the judge brought them in and gave them a choice. Would you like to continue to deliberate since it's late? And they actually came back and stated that they were at a what is
They're in
it?
an impasse.
Impasse. Yes,
Yeah.
at an impasse. And so he
After
said
6 hours.
after 6 hours. So do you want to continue to deliberate, or do you want to come back tomorrow? And as someone was walking out, what did they say?
Is there any other options or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Do we have any more different options or something in in that order? And judge is like, let
He
me know.
ignored them.
He
He didn't.
did
He just
pretty
ignored them.
much. Yeah, but keep going. Let me know what you guys decide if you're gonna, continue or come back. They
Yeah, after
decide,
6 hours, they're sending him a letter saying they're at an impasse, and
right,
basically they can't come to
right,
a conclusion. They want to go home. Are you kidding? After 6 hours,
yeah.
and the defense
No,
attorney,
actually, didn't even
he
want it.
says
They just want to be over. They didn't even
they
say they
wanted to
wanted to
go
go
home. They
home.
wanted it over. That's what I'm saying. They said it
Yeah,
was a mistrial, and he wanted him to declare a mistrial and it'd be over.
yeah.
They wanted to go home, and then that defense attorney is basically saying, "Well, it's easy. Tell them to get back to work. They've been in there for 6 hours."
Right, right. Yeah, he did say that. Exactly. And so they sent a note saying that they're going to continue to deliberate. So you think, okay, and everything. And so not even like was 40 minutes.
Something like that. Yeah,
They come out now in 40 minutes, all of a sudden now they have a decision
because they
and
gave a
find
lesser
her,
charge. That's why, which they shouldn't do.
right, and find her like manslaughter.
They should not do that. I don't like
So,
that at all. It's like you believe that she committed first degree murder, but then you turn around and think, well, if I can't prove it, I'm just going to throw this other one in there. So
right.
that's just not right.
Let's
And
throw it up and
I
see what
believe they
sticks.
settled. They went back and said, we want to go home anyway. Let's just get rid of manslaughter. We can get out of here. I don't like it. Leave a bad taste in my mouth. I don't like it at all. It was
I
so
don't like it at
fast.
all either. I don't either. I don't. I don't know if it was like half and half. I don't know what the case was. But here's the thing. I think that you never settle. You never settle in a trial. You have to do your deliberations correctly, cross all your T's and dot all your I's because you got to make sure you're making the right decision. This is somebody's life. You don't just say, "Oh, well, okay, I don't want to come back tomorrow. Let's just pick this,"
That's
And we
what it
don't
seemed
actually
like.
know that for sure, but it felt that way to me. It felt that way to me. I don't want to, say anything bad about the jurors, but it just felt that way.
Well, look at it like this. They go back and they deliberate for 8 hours or 9 hours or six, whatever it was. And then they send a note saying they were at an impasse and we can't come to a conclusion. So they basically wanted him to get a mistrial. And so then they go back afterwards and then they come back with the manslaughter in like 40 minutes. Well, when they were back there originally doing their deliberations, the manslaughter was there. So it's like, why didn't they have that the first time? So that extra 40 minutes, and you were able to get it from an extra 40 minutes, so you realize you had that other charge in there. And so, and that's why I don't like that other charge because it's almost like a compromise. And that's somebody's life you're compromising on.
Yeah.
This is just my opinion, of course.
Right.
I just didn't like it. I didn't like it at
Yeah.
all. I don't think they proved their case. I thought the jury didn't deliberate long enough, and I don't like that other charge because it
Right.
just allows them to make a compromise.
Well, here's the thing I was wondering. I was wondering this. Okay. So, it's all okay. It was proven that she did kill him. That's obvious. She killed him with the gun. So that's a given. The way it happened is what is in question here. Okay. So, what if the jurors were sitting there saying, okay, well, they did not prove that she murdered him. They did not prove that. But this little paper here says, oh, okay, well, manslaughter. Well, and then she had a gun. Whoop, that she did. Okay, she killed, shot him or killed him. Whoop, that's there. So what if they thought, okay, well, she did shoot him, and they didn't prove that she murdered him. So I mean, this is the next thing. I mean, because she did shoot him and kill him. I mean, that was what I was thinking. Do you think
Well,
that's
why
what
did they
happened?
just then why didn't it just the prosecution just charge her with manslaughter to begin with? They threw manslaughter in there so they could hope they get something.
I personally think they should have done manslaughter because they didn't have any proof that she murdered him. They didn't have any proof of it. I mean, I think that she probably did, but they didn't have any proof. They didn't prove it. They didn't
Yep.
prove their
Not
case.
not my opinion. It didn't.
And a lot of people, I heard a lot of people talking and saying that they thought she was going to come back not guilty.
Yeah, I was
Even like
shocked.
lawyers were saying that were
I was
watching the
shocked.
case. Yeah, yeah.
I
So,
was.
yeah,
I was, yeah. But they came back so quick after they
yeah.
had left that first time. And then, like I said, so many people were caught off guard that there was, big channels were doing
Oh,
the video
yeah.
the next day because I didn't even know they would deliberate that long.
Yes.
And it's like,
In,
I mean, is this live? What's happening? So it was
right. In
crazy.
fact, she didn't even know she was going to be,
No.
I'm free right now. Oh, 40 minutes later, guess what? I'm not free anymore. I'm not a
Yep.
free
She
woman.
thought that worst case scenario, it should be of another day or two.
Yep.
But, because you got to remember that's the same day they did the close. They did their closing arguments, both of them. And then the conviction the same day within hours.
Crazy.
One
And
day's work. One
right.
day's work.
Right. Another thing that's interesting to me that it's Florida, the trial, right? And what's interesting
Yep.
to me is, how they let them stay so late, like 10 o'clock and past 10.
I know it's weird.
That's just interesting to me. Honestly, I personally don't think they should. I'll tell you why. Because when it starts getting late like that, you start getting really tired. And I'm depending on your age, I'm not young, so I start getting tired. And I think if you don't have if you're getting sleepy and tired and things like that, you're not thinking as straight as you could. So to me, once it starts getting us past a certain time, I think they should be sent home, go home, get some sleep, come back fresh. You're fresh, and then your brain's working better, and you're looking at all the evidence. You're seeing things more clear. When you're tired and sleepy and grumpy, I want to go home, blah blah blah. Then I don't think that's that. I don't think that's what's happening. At least that's what I think. I
Yeah,
don't think that's
I
happening.
think what should have happened is when the judge was given that note, he should have told them, okay, you guys go home,
Yes,
come back tomorrow, and we'll start all over again and put a good day in and we'll see where we're at. But to send them back out and give them the option, and I don't think that was a good move. It was just too late. It was too late.
it
Let
was
them
too
go
late.
home and do it again, and then it would have been better that
Yeah,
way. But
but
that's the way
apparently
they
they
do
do
it over
that
there.
there. Apparently they do that. It's not just him. Yeah,
Oh no, no, I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying that
yeah,
I think
yeah.
I don't know that should have been an option, but I think she definitely has an appeal, grounds for appeal as far as the closing and her changing it at the end, which you cannot do because she didn't present any of that evidence, and now she's just throwing something out there, and he has no
Correct.
opportunity to rebut it or anything. She's just making things up at the end, and they don't
Yeah.
even need to have a motive. They're not required to. So
No,
if you
they're
don't have a
not.
good solid motive, then don't just keep your mouth closed.
Right. Right.
So to wrap this thing up, so you think that she shouldn't have been convicted? Do you agree or
I
disagree
th-
with the
I actually do agree with her having manslaughter because she did kill him. Um, but
according to YouTube, she K'd him.
I'm sorry, she did K him. I just I don't think they had the proof and evidence that she murdered him.
Okay, that's odd. Yeah.
In other words, murdered him like she planned it out, sat there and waited and murdered him. They didn't prove that,
I
but
don't
she
think they,
did.
yeah. She did. She admitted that she did shoot him,
Correct.
but I don't think that they proved that she didn't do it in self defense. So I don't think she should have been charged with anything. Because if you think she's going to be, and that's fine. I'm just saying,
Mhm.
if I think that she should be convicted of manslaughter, then I'm saying that they proved that it wasn't self defense, but they couldn't prove she did it deliberately. It was just an act, and I don't think they proved either one. So I don't think she should have been charged with anything. And this is me going in and listening to her thinking she's full of crap at the beginning.
Right.
But I'm watching the whole thing, and it doesn't matter where I like her or not. I'm not saying I dislike her. I don't know her, but you have to prove it. We have to be consistent. And I don't believe that they proved their case. Whether you think she's guilty or not, that doesn't matter. They have to prove their case. In my opinion, I don't think they did.
Right. Well, I guess when you state it that way, yeah. I mean, because for me, I do feel like, I feel like she did plan it out. So I guess that's in my head, and that's why the manslaughter doesn't bother me. But you're right. The prosecutor didn't prove her case. I think that's why so many people thought it would be found out not guilty. So
Right.
yeah, but I guess I'm not upset with the manslaughter. I'm just not.
I'm upset with it for the fact that I don't believe they proved their case, and then should, so she shouldn't have manslaughter. Um, but I don't think it's just to say, well, she's not a good person or whatever. So whatever, she got manslaughter, but she should have got something. Only if they prove it. It doesn't matter whether we like her or not or dislike her. They
That's
didn't, in
true.
my opinion, they didn't prove it, so she shouldn't get anything. But that's just the way I look at it.
Yeah.
So that
We
we can
can
agree
agree
to
to
disagree.
disagree.
Yep.
That's why they have jurors and juries. And that's why
Yep.
they should have 12, not
Yep.
6.
All right. So anything else?
No, I think we're good.
So we were still waiting on her sentence. I think it's anywhere from 10 to 30 years. I'm thinking she's going to get between 15 and 17. She'll probably serve about 8. I know that the family said they would not be happy, but they would be okay with 25 years, but would make her daughter the same age she is now, pretty much when she gets out. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's either 15 to 17, and she'll serve about 8. I'm thinking.
Well, it'll be interesting to find out because then that always interests me because when the judge puts the ruling of what they're going to get, it to me shows what the judge thinks about the trial because the judge isn't the one
That's
saying
true.
guilty, not guilty. So that'll be interesting. If he doesn't give her a huge amount, then he believes that what she said, in my opinion. And if he does what you say, gives her like that big amount, then he's on the same
Well,
page as yeah.
something I just thought of, and correct me if I'm wrong, you lawyers out there, if I'm wrong. I think that it is still possible for the judge to look and say, "Hey, I watched the trial. I seen all the evidence. They did not prove their case," and overrule the jury and just let her go. I think that is an option. I know it's been done before. I don't know exactly if it's done in every jurisdiction or not, but
Correct. I
he is
have seen,
he is the ultimate judge, no pun
yeah.
intended.
Mhm.
So, and from looking at it from your perspective, if he does think that she was wrongfully charged or whatever, or overcharged, and he doesn't really think that they proved it in a sense, he can also make it much lighter as well.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Because of that, try to be fair.
That's
So
actually a good question. Maybe some lawyers, if you're watching, if anybody's
yeah,
watching that knows actually the answer to that question, let us know in the comments. It'd be amazing because that is a good question. Because I do know I watched a trial years ago and the judge did do that.
right.
They literally threw the case out, said no, no.
Yep.
And so that's a good question. I really wonder. I don't know. I don't know if it's just certain. I don't know how that works, but I that's a
Yeah.
good question.
So we give
Yeah.
Peter Tragos. He can
Yeah. Yeah.
he can let us know what he thinks.
Yeah.
So that'd be cool. All right. So that's it, right?
That's it.
All right, guys, that's going to do it. Hopefully, you got something out of this and all that rambling made sense. So let us know what you think. Do you think that she should have been convicted? What do you think about the jury? What do you think about the six jurors, which is kind of odd, or them staying really late? Just let us know what you think about all this stuff. We definitely want to know what you're thinking and definitely want the feedback. So, all that being said, if you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe, do all that cool stuff. We'd appreciate it. And the channel's growing. I got a few subscribers, I think 7 or 8 since last week, and I really appreciate every one of you. It means a great deal to both of us. So we want to continue to do this, and it gives us a lot of incentive, and it gives us a lot of, gets us excited when we see that people are interacting and the videos are doing better. Because we like doing them, and we're going to continue to do them regardless. But it's nice to know that we're not just talking to just each other, So that's gonna do it. Do you have anything else? That's it, right?
Nope. Just thank you guys for watching and don't forget to subscribe.
All right. So stay safe out there. Remember to stay safe, stay curious. Remember to always mind your surroundings. Bye.
Bye.